Scanning for audio.
Hello, welcome to a Tin Dog podcast. I hope you're having a nice summer. Seriously, it is important. So, what are we talking about? Well, do you remember when I was having such a lovely time reviewing Doctor Who on TV? And I was asking what I should do next? A few people suggested that I concentrate on Blake 7. I had some suggestions to do the X-Files. And there was a whole handful of other stuff. Okay, but apart from the fact that we've done Blake 7 as for your consideration, which I did enjoy, I just thought, what else could I do? So if you've got suggestions of other things I can focus on, or if you're just very happy with me continuing plodding on, doing whatever Big Finish throws my way, quite happy to do that. So, here we go, some Blake 7 chat. The worlds of Blake 7, Tarrant. Although as my original notes actually said, the worlds of Blake 7, Travis. Because let's face it, there's always a Travis in every single story. Obviously we've got the issue we've had with all of the Blake 7s of late, where we have a diminishing amount of cast available. Because they're just no longer with us. You're having individual box sets focusing on various crew members, and that's kept us happy for some time. So what have we got here? Well, this one, as the title obviously implies, focuses on Tarrant. Now, Tarrant's a bit of a complicated character because he was originally envisaged as somebody in the sort of mid to late 30s who had a very varied and interesting career. This career is referenced in the TV show. But the actor they got to play the part was basically fresh out of drama school. And in order to make them sound older, they just got them to modulate their voice a bit lower. Not quite the best bit of casting. The guy playing the part's superb. And let's face it, they definitely struck lucky. Stephen Pacey's always been great and has a great voice. There's a lot of voiceover work being done over the years. Anyway, that's not important. What is important is that we've got a character who appears in Season C or Season D as well, and they've got a bit of, not a checkered past, but a past where the storylines don't quite mesh. For example, at one point he says that he was involved in the moving of Carapan, but Carapan's only ever harvested every 15 years, hence the episode Harvest of Carapan. You know what I mean? Now, in the TV show, you've got a whole, let's not think about that too closely, but it's the sort of thing us fans focus on. And there's a lot of other stuff that doesn't quite fit. And that's what they've done here. They've taken all of the stuff that is a little bit not clunky, but doesn't quite agree with itself. Let me explain. And I can do that best by reading the synopsis. So, Soldier, Federation Commander, Space Commander, Smuggler, Freedom Fighter, Tarrant has challenged convention throughout his many careers in a hostile galaxy. These are the stories of his choices and challenges, his friends and family and foes, on an unprecedented journey to the Liberator and beyond. Okay, so what we've got here is 3 stories. Andy Lane, James Goss, Gary Russell, all crackingly good authors. Okay, so the first one is the Authorised version by James Goss, the second one, the Behemoth, by Andy Lane, and the third one is Bomb, no exclamation mark, it just feels like it should have one, by Gary Russell. In the Authorised version, well, again, the synopses. Gamblers, lovers, presidents, all have sought out the dream makers, demanding they decide their future Del Tarrant has come to ask them to help decide his past. Now, as a mechanism, basically this story sets out to make sure that all of the things that he's ever talked about fit together. Bit of a challenge. It's the sort of thing us fans do. We call it headcanon. But on paper, it feels easier than it would in an audio. Also, the dream makers exist in a sort of spin-off audio thing, although they do feel very much like one of the TV storylines. So what we've got here is Dal talking to a character who embodies male characters and another character who embodies all female characters. Yes, we can get back to the politics of that at another time, but what we've got here is the narrative that fulfills that. And also we have a guest appearance by someone who isn't Servalan, who does a very reasonable voice at personifying Jacqueline Pearce. Obviously that's going to be the biggest challenge for the female person, because they are massive boots, probably kinky boots, that to fill. Okay, so what you've got is Del re-examining bits of his life and working out how they could have gone better, how they could have gone worse, and how they could have or should have developed. What should have happened rather than what did happen. And there is a recurring character all the way through these who doesn't really appear but might appear and affects Tarrant's life in mostly a negative way. But that's more of a rosebud thread than an actual meaningful thread. Obviously it comes to fruition at the end, but it's not as needed as it would be. It's interesting, if you are a huge fan of the character, to examine all of the things that have not made sense because of his youth or have made sense because of his family and all of that, and it just works really well. Now the Behemoth, or Behemoth, or however you want to say it, that's story number 2 by Andy Lane. When hunting down Blake and the Liberator, Commander Del Tarrant's Federation pursuit ship encounters a vast abandoned space vessel, really similar to episode 2 of the TV series. What dark secrets does it contain about the Federation and alien life? Can Tarrant save his crew and himself before it's too late? It's got flashes of Aliens about it as well. You've got the crew wandering, you know that there's something spooky. Imagine the Liberator, but goth, but dark, with a weird history going on. It's definitely Alien, and it does make glorious sense. It's kind of the anti-version of the first story, and it really genuinely works. About 20 minutes in, there was a sound effect. Now, I was doing a particularly complicated junction in Huddersfield. The sound effect was so loud and so disconcerting that I thought it had happened in real life while I was driving, and I actually swerved a bit while I was trying to do this really tricky manoeuvre in the car. It made me jump, basically jump scare, I know, from an audio, and it just works. So you can count yourself very impressed. And then you've got 3, which is Bomb. Why do I keep saying it like that? It's just called Bomb by Gary Russell. Tarrant and Dayna. Yep, Dayna here played by Yasmin Bannerman, who's just great. Tarrant and Dayna's rendezvous in an abandoned Federation refinery puts them in unexpected danger when their broker changes the terms of the deal. Can they survive until the Liberator returns to them, and why is an old nemesis lurking in the shadows? Obviously this is the denouement of the whole major, not even major, storyline that's running through the thread, but the thread is so bare as to be almost unnoticeable. You've got extra characters. This one does feel really like a TV episode, and Gary's done a lovely job of taking some of the narrative of the first time that they're on board. Avon dumps them somewhere and they have to sort this out because they're still finding their way with the crew and who they trust, who they don't trust, and what the ship's gonna. And there is some brilliant stuff by Aurak. Absolutely spot on. Very happy. So Is it a worthy edition? Of course it is. Do you need it? Perhaps not as much as you would like, but you know what? You'll be really missing out on something if you don't go for it. So yeah, if you were ever a fan of Tarrant and you want to know the nitty-gritty of the character and the development, well, it's just plain marvellous. Especially the second story. So with that, I'll let you hear the trailer. Until next time, be seeing you.
The thing is, well, to be candid, I've told so many different accounts of my past, and it's about time I decided on one that works. Let's decide the authorized version.
From Big Finish Productions, Blake 7, Tarrant.
We've been on Liberator 5 minutes, and already Avon is treating us like a delivery service. Why are we here and not him?
Well, perhaps this isn't an important job in his eyes.
He doesn't trust us. Wants to see if we can obey his orders.
Or we're expendable.
So, Del Tarrant, right? Former space captain in the Federation.
Avon's been talking too much again, I see.
Not at all. He's offered to pay me very handsomely for information regarding you.
Such as?
Oh, don't get angsty. He reckoned I might know where Dayna is. He thought that might interest you.
Hello, little brother.
Dayna?
Dayna Tarrant, First Class Cadet, Federation Elite Squad.
I mean, look at him. He's posing for his statue.
A word, brother.
Of course, brother. I didn't know there'd be blockaders outside the solar system.
Can't you fire back?
What, start an outer world war in a borrowed Federation pursuit ship? They'll send me to the Clone Masters just so they can execute me 12 times.
We have our orders. Once we find the Liberator, we can go home. We've been out here a long time.
We're on a hunt, Sergeant, and the Predator only goes home when the prey is found and killed. We don't do this for money. We do it because Space Command tells us to, and because Blake and his ragtag rebels are a threat to the Federation.
Gently, lads, gently. Careful. I think that's the only rib not broken.
We'll take care of that. In the cells.
Can't you just expel me from the academy?
Oh, we will. Once we're done with you.
Big Finish, for the love of stories.
Well. You're the last person I expected to see here.
It's been a while, hasn't it? Sit down, Tarrant.
I'd prefer to stand, Supreme Commander.
That was the Tin Dog Podcast. Available on Spotify, iTunes, Acast, Stitcher, and wherever good podcasts are found. Get early access to content by subscribing to the Tin Dog Podcast YouTube channel. You can support the show at patreon.com/tindog. Contact the show on Twitter at tindogpodcast or email tin-dog@hotmail.co.uk. All of the things discussed are the intellectual property of others. No infringement is intended. The Tin Dog Podcast is a founder member of the Doctor Who Podcast Alliance.